Every day I go for a walk and I make these videos while I'm walking. Okay, so whenever you see videos like these, it's just me recording my phone, recording the screen on my phone. Excuse me. Okay, so today this is going to be some entrepreneurial advice to anyone out there who's an aspiring game developer or programmer, or if you're just an aspiring business owner in general. It doesn't even have to be computer graphics related. Anyone who is an aspiring anything, okay? Even if you're aspiring musician, aspiring whatever, aspiring mechanic, this advice is going to apply to you. And what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to address an individual called Threat Interactive. Now, this is apparently a company, or is trying to be a company, or they think they are a company, or whatever they are some sort of aspiring game developer type of situation. Okay? And we're going to address in this video what it takes to be taken seriously. Okay? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. We're going to talk about what it takes to be taken seriously. Because Threat Interactive is not taken seriously at all. And I'm sure that a lot of you coming from the games background, you have heard a lot of his rants. You have seen his videos on YouTube. He speaks fast. He has a strong, straight face, and he does not smile. And that is the gist of Threat Interactive. Now, there are lots of negative things that can be said about this young man, but that's really not the point of this video, okay? I'm not here to bash this man or to say negative things about him. I'm just going to use him as a cautionary tale for those of you who are serious and also would like to get involved in some kind of business. So here's the thing about Threat Interactive. I've seen some of his videos, and actually, a lot of what he says, a lot of the things he complains about when it comes to Unreal Engine and graphics, he is not wrong. Okay, so that is important to be stated. A lot of what he talks about is not incorrect. Okay, and his frustrations when it comes to graphics, game graphics, and in particular, he rants about Unreal Engine. He's not wrong. Okay. Now, here's the thing. It takes more than being right in order to be taken seriously. Okay, and that's a lesson I had to learn myself. So this is coming from someone who has done the work. I'm telling you from my lived experience, it takes more than being right in order to be heard, in order to be taken seriously by giants. And Unreal Engine, Epic Games, is a giant. Okay, they are not David, they are Goliath. Okay, and people like Goliath don't argue with YouTubers or some random YouTuber who has a blue shirt and speaks fast. Okay, they're not going to bother. They're going to listen to your little video and then they're going to move on. Okay. Okay. One of their thousands of engineers, if Epic Games has 3,000 staff members, one of them saw your videos at some point. And then they probably shared it with one or two other staff members. And then those staff members shared it until it got to the attention of someone at the top of Epic Games. Okay. Who knows? Maybe even Tim Sweeney saw your video at some point because people talk and that's how it works. Okay. But have they taken any steps toward doing any of the things, making any of the improvements that this man is talking about? No, they have not. And the question is why? This man has quite a large following. He's got like, I don't know, 500,000 subscribers or something like that. Okay. Now, of course, when it comes to YouTube, you can never be you can never be truly impressed with subscriber count because again, I've already exposed that 99% of YouTubers are paying for subscribers, paying for likes, and paying for comments and paying for views. So who knows how many out of the 500 or 800,000 subscribers he has are actual real people that support his cause? Who knows? There's really no way of knowing. Okay. So, never be impressed by numbers because numbers do lie. It used to be they will tell you numbers don't lie. Well, they do. People falsify their numbers all the time. Okay. So, um, that's number one. But even if this man had only one subscriber, one view, one like, and no comments under all his videos, it wouldn't change the fact that what he is talking about, majority of the time, is true. Okay? His complaints, his rants, most of it is true, most of it is accurate, and that does not change despite his audience size. So why isn't he taken seriously? Why instead is he considered a problem, fake, a scam? As a matter of fact, he's considered very problematic. And, but again, we're not really here to talk about how other YouTubers have interacted with this man. We're here to talk about how companies, in particular Epic Games, would interact with this man or not interact. Okay. So, uh, why hasn't Epic Games reached out to Thread Interactive and said, hey, you know what, young man? You have bangs and you're a man and we really like your blue shirt and your side bangs, and we're going to offer you a job because we've never seen a man with a blue shirt, side bangs, who talks fast and says a lot of things about optimization. And since you have all those qualities, we don't have those qualities at Epic Games, and therefore, young man, we're going to give you a job. Okay? We're going to hire you all night long. We're going to hire you so hard, and you're going to come into Epic Games and you're going to change everything with your bangs and your haircut and your blue shirt and your Adam's apple, and that's what you're going to do. Okay? So why hasn't Epic Games sent him a letter saying that? It's because of the first word in his name. He calls himself Threat Interactive. But the reality is this, guys, okay? I'm going to tell you the truth about business. Businesses won't take you seriously unless you are actually a threat. It's that simple. Okay? Businesses don't take you seriously. You can rant all you want. You can make 900 videos about how a product sucks. But companies will not take any action. They will not, because think about it. Do you think this young man with the side bangs and the blue shirt and the Adam's apple and the fast talking, do you think he's the only one on the planet that knows that these issues exist in graphics? Do you think he's the only one with eyes who has observed these issues that he complains about in the games industry? Do you think he is the only one on the planet that there was no one before him that observed these same problems? Of course there are. There are thousands of people just like Thread Interactive. There is nothing unique about this individual except for the fact that he has side bangs. Okay. So he's not a threat. He's not a threat to anyone except himself, probably. That's the biggest issue with this man. Okay. So, for those of you who are taking notes, if you're trying to understand how to get a company to take you seriously, I'm going to give you how I did it. You want to know why even though I don't have as many YouTube subscribers as Thread Interactive, and even though my videos don't get as many views as Thread Interactive's videos, do you want to know why I have a bigger impact on the industry than this boy, than this guy? Guess why? Do you want to know why Epic Games and Tim Sweeney would pay more attention to what I say and what I do, okay, than anything that comes out of the mouth of Thread Interactive? You want to know why? Okay, the reason for that is because, unlike Thread Interactive, okay, I didn't try to, I'm not complaining about Unreal Engine and still using Unreal Engine and trying to change Unreal Engine. See, Thread Interactive wants people to give him $900,000. So basically $1 million. If you go to his website, that's what he says. Okay. So the first problem with his approach, this boy, this man, okay, the man with the bangs and the blue shirt, he wants you, yes, you listening, he wants you to give him $900,000. That is what basically $1 million. Okay, I don't know why he didn't just ask for 1 million, but he wants $900,000 so that he can change Unreal Engine using Unreal Engine. He wants to go inside of Unreal Engine with some developers. Okay, he's going to use the $900,000 that he gets from you, and he's going to hire some developers. And he wants to use those developers and assemble a team like the Avengers. Okay, he wants to assemble the graphics programming version of the Avengers, and he wants to tackle Unreal Engine from the inside. That's what he says. He wants to edit and change the Unreal Engine platform. He wants to rewrite Unreal Engine using Unreal Engine. So he wants to use Unreal Engine and change it using Unreal Engine's own code. Uh, so that's what he wants to do. Okay. And this is why Epic Games, Autodesk, Real-Illusion, all these companies would take me more seriously, because it's not about how many views you have on YouTube. It doesn't matter. That's not what makes you important. Okay, that's not what makes you valuable. Okay. In the real world, nobody cares about how many views you have, how many subscribers you got. They care about what you can do. They care about what you can prove. Okay. And this boy, for all his talking, hasn't done anything. That's the difference between somebody like me and someone like Thread Interactive. This boy can talk your ear off. Okay? He can talk really, really fast. And don't forget, he has bangs. He has side bangs and an Adam's apple and a blue shirt. So that's what he has. He doesn't have anything more than that. But unfortunately, in order to be taken seriously, you need to do something. The reason Univah Film Engine is a threat is because it exists. It's that simple. If I sat around, now I could have been just like this man. Thankfully, I was smart enough not to go this route. If I was just like Thread Interactive, if I had made the mistake of being like him, then in 2020, I would have started making videos attacking Unreal Engine. I would have attacked them all day long. I would have attacked Autodesk Maya. I would have attacked all of their flaws, and I would have talked about how I know what's better. I know what to do. I know how to fix Autodesk Maya. I know how to fix Cinema 4D. I know how to fix 3D Studio Max. I know how to fix Unreal Engine, and I can fix Unity. And I probably would have gotten a lot of support. Okay, I probably would have made a lot of waves. I might have become some fantastic computer graphics YouTube sensation in 2020, 2021 if I had done that. But instead, I did the exact opposite. I started in silence. I did not mention anybody. In 2020, I wasn't making any videos about what's wrong with Autodesk Maya, what's wrong with Cinema 4D, what's wrong with Houdini, what's wrong with Epic Games. I wasn't making any videos of that nature. In 2022, I still wasn't doing it. I was building quietly. I was doing research and I was building quietly. Okay. Uh, the difference between me, the difference between builders and people like Thread Interactive is that Thread Interactive just only talks about it. And you cannot be someone who only talks but doesn't walk. He just doesn't do anything. He hasn't done anything. And you don't think we all need $1 million? If he needs $1 million to edit an existing engine, I built one from scratch. How much money do you think I would have needed to build one from scratch? If he needs, okay, guess which one is harder to do? Is it harder to build an engine from scratch that competes with Epic Games, that competes with Autodesk Maya's, V-Ray and Arnold? Or is it easier to edit something that's already open source, that's already way advanced, that already has a lot of features, and to just edit it? So he's asking for $1 million just so he can edit an existing engine. He wants to edit Unreal Engine. Whereas in contrast, I created everything from scratch. I recreated our own software from scratch and didn't ask for a dime. So we did what's much harder to do, what most people of this generation would never attempt to do. We did, which was to build everything in-house ourselves from scratch. And we didn't ask for a dime. There was no place in our website that says, hey, we need donations of $900,000. We never asked. We never asked for that. But if you go on this man's website, if you go on the Thread Interactive website, you're going to see a donate button. And he's trying to raise $1 million so he can edit. So I can't even say without laughing. It's ridiculous. So he wants to edit Unreal Engine. So you're not a threat. He needs to change his name. He needs to change his business name. He's not a threat to anyone, okay? He would be a threat if he was me. To be a threat, he would have to become someone like me. He would have to create his own software completely independently without having any dependence on any existing engine. And then that engine, whatever he creates independently, that has no dependency on an existing engine, would have to surpass what currently exists in some significant way. That's the key to being heard. You're not going to get heard by making claims, by speaking fast, by wearing a blue shirt and having an Adam's apple and having side bangs. You will be heard by making something that threatens what already exists. That's the only way, my friend. So Threat Interactive, if you're listening, if you're watching this, I want you to start thinking about what you can do on your own, okay? Because right now you're talking a lot of shit about Unreal Engine, but you're still trying to use Unreal Engine. In other words, you're biting the hand that you're hoping will one day feed you. That is the opposite of intelligence. That is the opposite of wisdom. Okay? You can't talk shit about your dad's house while still living in your dad's house. Okay? You're going to have to move out. You understand? You're going to have to move out and get your independence. Then when you move out and you're sleeping on the street, then you can talk shit. You can talk shit as much as you want, but you're not going to do it under your dad's roof. You understand? So I don't understand people who are like, hey, I still want to use Unreal, but I'm going to talk shit about it. Please give me money so I can edit Unreal Engine and make it better. Oh, by the way, I need $1 million to start. Before I can even start, I need $1 million. Okay. Please think of me as a threat. I'm still going to use your engine, but I'm a threat somehow. Somehow I'm a threat. so, so this young man, I don't know. I think it's the bangs. I think it's because he has bangs. Um, and I think sometimes, when you have bangs and it's like covering one of your eyes, it's really hard to see clearly. I think he has a vision issue. So he needs to get with real business owners. If he's serious, he needs to take notes from what we've done. People like me, people like Lamborghini, all these people that had great ideas and they took it to companies and the companies ignored them. This is normal, okay? There are lots of people that have great ideas and they take it to a big company and the big company says, "Get out of here. You don't know anything. We've been in business for 30 years. How dare you challenge us?" Okay? We know what we're doing. We don't need your help. We don't need your advice. So that always happens. Okay? I didn't take any of my ideas and go to Epic Games to present it. Notice that's not what I did. I never created a pitch deck. This guy doesn't even have a pitch deck. I can guarantee you he has never even sat down and created a pitch deck. I can guarantee you he would have to Google what a pitch deck is because I don't think he even knows. Okay. I don't think he even knows what a pitch deck is. Okay. But that's how you get things going. That's how a real business owner moves. Okay. There are steps. There are legitimate steps you have to take. Number one, create a pitch deck. And I have several. I created 5 different pitch decks depending on the company that I was planning on working with. So I have one for Microsoft because there was a time when I was trying to get partnerships with Microsoft because I wanted the Univah Film Engine to be pre-installed as a part of the Windows OS. Okay. And as a matter of fact, that's why we built Univah to be so light. We built it and it was so lightweight in terms of overall install size. We wanted to keep it under 1 gig primarily for this reason. And we made it so easy to use primarily for this reason, so that it could be the 3D software that comes pre-installed in every Windows PC. So when you buy a PC, you automatically have Univah. That's what we were trying to do in the beginning. In the very beginning, I was legitimately trying to do that. I wanted to give Univah to everyone. And so I created a pitch deck for Microsoft. And I was like, "Hey, Microsoft, uh, you know, let's do for Windows what GarageBand and iMovie did for Apple." One of the things that I really loved about Apple computers was the fact that they would have these awesome softwares that would come with Apple computers for free. So you would buy a MacBook and it would come with GarageBand, which was an incredible software for making music. And I always wondered, well, why doesn't Windows do that? There is no software that's incredible for making music that comes with every Windows computer, you see? And then you would buy an Apple MacBook and it would come with iMovie. And iMovie was the shit. I was like, man, iMovie is useful as hell. I can use this. I can edit my movies and I don't have to go get some fancy, like Adobe, uh, some Adobe editing software. I don't have to get something overkill because iMovie did most of what I needed in order to edit a clip. So, um, I didn't need to have Adobe Premiere, you see. So I always wondered, and then like for Windows only had like Windows Movie Maker, which was super basic compared to Windows Movie Maker was extremely basic compared to what iMovie gave you. iMovie was like above and beyond for a free software. So between GarageBand and iMovie and Final Cut Pro and you know Logic Pro X, all these softwares that Apple made, I was like, wow, let's do something like that for Windows. And so I made a pitch deck specifically about that. Okay. And then I made a pitch deck for Tyler Perry. I made a pitch deck for computer manufacturers. For every angle, I made a different kind of pitch deck, you see. I didn't make a video talking about how I know what's best for the world. I made a pitch deck in silence because that's what moves mountains. It's not about being loud. It's about being silent, being strategic, and making the right moves. It's about sending emails. It's about doing all the stuff that you think is really boring. It's about all the boring stuff that nobody claps for you when you do it. You don't get any applause at that stage. And a lot of people can't do it. A lot of people, in order for them to do something, they need an audience. They need applause. They need a pat on the back. They need you to always be hyping them up in order for them to do any small thing. But real business owners, okay? Real business owners, the most important things that happen in secret places. It happens in silence. It happens in quiet. It happens in an email. It happens through a Zoom call. It happens quietly. So it seems like this guy, this Thread Interactive guy, doesn't seem to understand that. He prioritized sensationalism and popularity instead of doing what true business owners do, which is making connections. Making connections. So, what did we do with our company? Well, just like this young man, I too had a dream. Okay. I had a dream, and my dream was very different from Martin Luther King's, but nevertheless, it was still a dream. And my dream was that one day we would all be able to render our films in the highest quality without needing offline rendering. And we would be able to do it interactively in the real-time viewport without needing render farms, cloud rendering, or offline rendering. That was my dream. I had that dream, and many people share that dream. The world is craving real-time more than ever right now. And so we all shared this dream. It wasn't a unique dream that only I had. But I was the one who started making the efforts towards making that dream a reality. And I started in 2020, not by making videos and being loud, not by having side bangs and a blue shirt, not by growing an Adam's apple. I did it by doing research, by doing the boring work that nobody claps for. There is no applause. There is no pat on the back. Nobody told me I was pretty, and nobody told me I was great. Okay? As a matter of fact, what you're going to realize is the opposite. Okay? When you become a threat, the applause stops. That's how you know you're a threat. When you become a threat, the applause stops. You see, people don't mind praising you and being nice to you as long as you stay in your place. You can talk and talk all day long and people will applaud you and praise you and you're going to get lots of views. But something is going to shift in the atmosphere and you will feel it. The moment this boy stops running his mouth and starts taking action and starts building something of his own from scratch without relying on Unreal Engine, without relying on $1 million, never place your destiny in the hands of other people's generosity. Because if we had done that, then we would have never done anything. If I was sitting around waiting on the generosity of people, if I had said I need $1 million to start building Univah, I would have been waiting for a very long time. So never put your destiny in the hands of other people. That's a lesson this young man has to learn. Right now, everything he wants to do in terms of graphics and programming is completely dependent upon your generosity. If you decide to be generous, if random people on the internet decide to be generous and donate to this man, and if he turns out to be a man of his word, then he will start editing Unreal Engine. But chances are he doesn't really know what that means. I can tell he doesn't know what that means and how difficult of a task that's going to be. I don't think he has any idea how difficult that's going to be because, again, Unreal Engine has been around since 1998. Okay. Unreal Engine has been around since 1998, and they have over 20 years of legacy code, 20 years plus of code that this young man and his team are going to have to sift through. They're going to have to read a bunch of code and understand the architecture before even writing a single line. Before you can get into something and change it, you have to understand it. And that's going to be a lot. He's going to have to read 20 plus years of code. And I'm telling you, most developers are not going to want to do that. Okay. So I don't think he realizes the massive undertaking that is editing Unreal. Okay. He just doesn't know what he doesn't know. Okay. So to be taken seriously, you have to be a man of action or a woman of action. The reason why my software company has more of an impact, a huge impact on the industry. The reason why you see Epic Games copying us, Epic Games is trying to be like us so bad, okay? Why is that? Why is that happening? Why is Epic Games, a giant, trying to be like us? They're trying to mimic our features. They look at our software, they see that we are faster, we are easier to use. We have gotten praise from industry experts, people that use Houdini. We have taken our software on a studio tour all over Houston, and everyone who has used our software in their studio, everyone who has seen our software in their studio, they've all said the same thing. They said, "Oh my God, Univah is too fast. We can never tell people about this." That's what they said to my face. And I've spoken to CEOs. I don't speak to the when I show up to a studio. I don't pitch. This is not a pitch. Univah is not a pitch. We don't pitch. We tell you what we're going to do. We don't ask your permission. Okay. By the time I'm showing up, I'm not showing up asking for permission and hoping you like me. That's irrelevant. I'm showing up to tell you what I've already done. And then I'm asking, how do you feel about it? Okay. So, yeah, we don't have startup energy. We're not a startup. We're way past that. We're not pitching our idea, hoping you give us money. We've already done it. So, way past that stage. Okay. So, every time we take Univah to a real studio, to the top motion graphics and 3D animation studios in Houston, Texas, the CEO of the companies, of the studios, the owners of the studios, we spoke to them because I always do my presentations for the decision makers. I don't do presentations for interns because interns have no power. I don't do my presentations for people that don't make decisions. I only speak to the decision maker. So if the decision maker is not there, I wait until they get there and then I speak. Okay? Because it's irrelevant speaking to people that have no power. So I meet with the CEOs of every company, the ones that have the ability to say, yes, we want Univah and we're going to pay. That's who I meet with. And we took Univah to these people and we showed them what Univah can do. And they said, this is so fast. It's so much easier than Unreal Engine. And you can watch these videos. These videos are on YouTube. Don't take my word for it. Don't take my word for it. If you think I'm lying, go watch it. It's on YouTube. You can hear studio owners saying, Univah is better than Unreal. We prefer Univah to Unreal Engine. You can hear people that use Houdini say Univah is easier to learn than Houdini, easier to use than Houdini. This is a fact. You can hear studio directors telling me on camera that Univah is so fast that if their clients ever found out they were using Univah, then their clients would want everything in 10 minutes. So that's where we are, guys. This is on camera. We have studio directors telling us that they can't expose the fact that they use Univah. So people are using Univah, but they're using it secretly. They don't want people to know because Univah gives you such an advantage over everyone else that they literally are praying that this company stays small or stays niche or gets big, but not too big to where it becomes like a thing that everybody uses, because then they feel like everyone will have the same advantage. But Univah will grow. Univah will become big, and everyone will have the same advantage. And that's the point. And what's the only thing that's going to make things different? The only separator is going to be skill. We want everybody to have Univah, but not everybody's going to have the skill set to take advantage of Univah. So that's going to be the differentiator, skill. So hearing studio developers, studio heads, department heads, CEOs of studios, owners of studios tell us in very plain English, this software is too good, we can't let people know it exists. Our clients can never know that this exists. Okay, that's probably one of the highest compliments a software can get. Okay, it's so good that people don't want to talk about it. It's such a threat that people don't want to talk about it. They want to use it in secret under the covers, and they don't want they don't want anybody else to know the secret thing that they're using. But now we have people like Epic Games. We have companies like Epic Games who know that we exist. They've known about us since 2022. They tried to copy our idea of the film engine, but they failed, because you can't just take film engine and slap it on your logo as an afterthought when you are a game engine. Okay, you're not just going to become a film engine overnight just because you heard us say film engine, and now you want to take our brand identity and slap it onto yours. So they tried that mess in 2022, and now they spend a lot of their time trying to copy the ease of use that you see in Univah, but they can't, because their system is built on blueprints and node graphs, and it's slow. It's slow. They would have to rewrite Unreal Engine from scratch in order for it to compete with Univah, and they don't want to do that. Nobody wants to do that. Okay. They can't compete. It's not about copying features. You can copy all of our features, but even if you did that, it's about workflow. You're still going to have to use your slow node graphs. You're still going to have to use your slow blueprints. You're still going to have all of your bloated, slow workflows, and nobody wants that. And we've written a very unique rendering engine that nobody else has. We wrote it from scratch. And they can't copy that. Okay. So our greatest IP is in our rendering and rReligionVFX. This is what it takes, guys, to be taken seriously. It's not about being fast in talking. It's about being fast in taking action. And it's not about who did it first. That's another thing. You see Blender. Blender is also trying to copy us. Blender really wants to copy us. Blender has recently changed their UI to look more like Univah's. I'm sure you've noticed. I'm sure you've noticed that Blender's recent UI is looking very, very Univah-ish. Okay, they've changed their colors. Before, they were copying Cinema 4D. That's all Blender does. That's all Blender does. Blender does not innovate. All they do is copy. They don't know how to innovate. They don't do anything unique. There is not a single unique feature that Blender has. Okay, all they do is try to match what other companies have done. So Blender in Blender 2.0, the UI was so ugly. Okay, Blender's UI was so ugly. And then Blender's 2.0 came out and it was less ugly. It was still ugly, but less ugly. And then they said, okay, let's just copy Cinema 4D since obviously our UI is so ugly. Okay, so they copied Cinema 4D. And so Cinema 4D's UI was like very purple, had like purplish, kind of gray and purple. Those were the themes of Cinema 4D. And what did you see in Blender? You started seeing very purple icons, very gray. The timeline scrubber was like purple, very Cinema 4. It looked just like Cinema 4D. And if you deny that, you're blind. Okay, you're blind. So they straight up ripped off Cinema 4D's entire user interface. And then Univah came. Univah came, and because we are so beautiful, we're probably the best looking UI of this generation. Incredible design. Okay. Then Univah came, and we were very gray and very green and now what do you see? What do you see now in Blender's recent versions? What do you see? You see, they've totally abandoned the Cinema 4D look. Now they want to be just like Univah. So now their timeline scrubber is no longer purple. Now it's green, just like Univah's. And now they have very gray. They're trying to match the Univah look. And then they try to copy our UI in some other ways. You know, they're trying very hard to copy the Univah look because that's what they do. That's what they do. That's what it looks like when you are a threat. Okay? When you are a threat, your competitors aren't going to clap for you. They're not going to applaud you. You're not going to get a pat on the back. That's what happens when you become a threat. People don't treat you nicely. You get treated with hostility. But while they're being hostile towards you, they're going to secretly study you and try to copy you. That's how you know that you're important. That's how you know that you're a threat. When people start copying you, you know that you're leading because nobody copies what is inferior. If Univah was trash, if Univah was some horrible trash software that's just trash, then you know what would happen? We would be ignored. Epic Games would ignore us. Autodesk Maya would ignore us. Blender would ignore us. Nobody would give a crap about anything that we're doing. But instead, the opposite is happening. We're not being ignored at all. We're being paid attention to very closely. As a matter of fact, most of our subscribers on YouTube are from Blender, from Epic Games, from Autodesk. Most of our subscribers are from competitors. Our competitors are subscribed to us and they're watching this video. Okay, that's why you don't see any likes. They don't hit the like button because most of the people watching our videos are competitors, and your competitors are never going to praise you, sweetie. Okay, competitors don't typically praise competition that's surpassing them. Okay, so if I was just some silly little fan of some fanboy or fangirl, then nobody would care about the videos I make. I would be getting a lot of praise. Unreal Engine would praise me and say, oh, that's Stephanie girl. She's so great. She uses Unreal Engine. And they would praise me. But because I'm not a fan, I am a peer. I'm on the same playing field as them. I've created something that surpasses their tool. I'm a threat now. And because I'm a threat, I get treated a little differently with a bit more hostility. So, how do you get Unreal Engine to make improvements to their software? By making your own software and making it better. And when they see that you're gaining traction, they're going to want to copy what you're doing. It's that simple. You're not going to make waves by being a good talker, talking, all this talking. No, you're going to get heard and be taken seriously based on what you do. You have to take action, okay? I hope this helps. Have a good day.